Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're digging into a real physiological mystery. It's something so many people experience,
Right.
but it's it's constantly misdiagnosed. We're talking about that stubborn blood pressure spike that happens right after you eat.
And specifically, it happens even when you're already on medication for it. That's the real puzzle.
Right. So this isn't just about a high reading. This is about a failure of the body's internal timing. And we need to decode a very, very specific pattern that, well, it holds the key.
That's our mission today. We've got the listeners' time-stamped BP readings, their meal logs, everything. We're going to use this data like a forensic map. And what you need to understand right from the start is that the evidence shows this is not traditional high blood pressure.
Okay, so you're saying we can immediately separate a structural problem, like, stiff arteries, from something else entirely. So
Yeah.
let's start there. The listener is on trial Mesist 20 milligrams. That's a pretty heavy-duty BP medication, right?
It's a potent one, yes. It's an ARB. It targets the blood vessels, the whole kidney system.
So if they're taking that as prescribed, why didn't it even blunt the spikes?
That failure, that's the most important clue we have. It's our smoking gun. If this were standard vessel-based hypertension, that medicine would have worked. It would have blocked or at least seriously reduced the spike.
But it didn't. We're seeing readings like 42075 at 12:30 p.m. and then a huge one, 150/90 at almost 5 o'clock.
Exactly. And since those readings still soared, it's proof positive that the mechanism driving that pressure is not primarily vascular. It just isn't.
So the medicine is basically aiming at the wrong target. If it's not the blood vessels, what system is actually failing here?
This is, at its core, a metabolic and an autonomic problem. It's all about how your nervous system is overreacting to the food you eat. Your body is doing something we call postprandial sympathetic rebound.
Postprandial, so after eating.
Right. Think of your sympathetic nervous system as the fight or flight switch.
Yeah.
Normally you eat, your body is supposed to go into rest and digest. That's the parasympathetic mode. But here, about an hour after a meal, the nervous system it hits the panic button. And that causes the blood vessels to constrict fast.
That sounds an awful lot like a panic attack. But we can rule that out, can't we?
We can. And this is how we know for sure. We look at the heart rate.
Oh, okay.
In every single one of these spikes, the heart rate stayed perfectly stable. Hovering around 70, maybe 80 beats per minute, a real panic attack, a big adrenaline surge. Your heart rate would go through the roof.
So a stable heart rate proves this is something else.
It proves this is pure vasoconstriction. The narrowing of the blood vessels. It's driven entirely by the nervous system's overreaction to the simple act of digestion.
That stable heart rate is...
Oh, wow. That's such an incredible insight. And just to hammer this home, the listener mentioned that taking their T3 medication, the active thyroid hormone, it actually stabilized the BP for a while. Absolutely. T3 is what regulates your cell metabolism, all across the body, including your nerve stability. And the fact that it helped, even temporarily, confirms that the baseline metabolism is low. We're dealing with classic hypothyroid physiology.
So food becomes this huge stressor on a system that's already running in low gear.
And T3 gives it just enough of a boost to handle that stress without panicking.
Okay, now that we get the signature, the stable heart rate, the failed medicine, the T3 correction, let's put the pieces together. What are the main drivers here? What's constantly throwing the system into chaos?
We can boil it down to 4 interlocking root causes. First, the foundation of it all. Low thyroid metabolism. The system is just unstable to begin with, and every meal just makes it worse as the day goes on.
And metabolically, I'm guessing the second one has to do with our modern diet.
You got it. Second is insulin spikes. A big surge of insulin after a meal is a really potent trigger for sympathetic activation. It basically tells your nervous system to fire up.
And this connects to the listener's history of fatty liver disease, right?
It's a classic link. Fatty liver is a huge indicator of deep-seated insulin resistance.
Okay, so we have the metabolic foundation thyroid and the chemical trigger insulin. What about the nervous system side of things?
That's where timing becomes critical. The third cause is rapid eating post-fasting or post-activity.
So like eating right after a long walk.
Exactly that. After a walk, your body is in a state of strong parasympathetic dominance. Your blood pressure is low, you're relaxed. If you eat immediately, you stress the vagus nerve by forcing this sudden shift of blood to your gut. That leads to a severe but delayed rebound.
The vagus nerve, that's the superhighway between the gut and the brain, right? It's the key player.
It is. Which brings us to the fourth point. Poor digestion. Anything that causes reflux, gas, or just acid load, it creates irritation and actual physical pressure on that nerve. The vagus signals stress, and the body compensates by jacking up blood pressure.
It's a whole system meltdown that's just disguised as a simple high BP reading.
That's a perfect way to put it.
So this is a complex chain reaction. We have to move from the general causes now to the specific timeline, because when and what you ate seems to explain everything.
Yes. We found 3 critical timing triggers in your daily routine that just cause these spikes to stack on top of each other. Trigger A was eating breakfast too soon after your morning walk.
Okay.
The walk created that calm state, and eating right away just slammed the brakes on it, setting you up for a big sympathetic rebound hours later.
And trigger B was just eating too often.
Yeah.
We have meals at 9 a.m., then 11:15 a.m., and then again at 3:30 p.m.
Correct. 3 times in that tight a window, especially with carbs, means your pancreas never gets a rest, your nervous system never settles down, it's just constant activation.
And the last one, trigger C.
Mismatched T3 timing. The spikes were happening when your T3 levels were at their lowest trough. It's clear proof the body needed that metabolic support before it got hit with a big meal.
Let's make this really tangible with the food examples. The 9:00 a.m. meal was rajma and brown rice right after that walk. For anyone who doesn't know, rajma is an Indian kidney bean dish.
Right, so high in fiber, complex carbs, generally seen as healthy. But for you, this combination, high carb, high fiber, high volume, it caused a delayed effect. Digestion was slow.
So the spike didn't happen right away.
No, the insulin spike didn't really hit until around 11:30 or 12:30. That's why we see that 12:30 p.m. BP spike. It was a ghost from the 9 a.m. meal.
Wow. So then the 11:15 a.m. meal, the upma, which is a semolina porridge, super high glycemic, that was just piled on top of an already unstable system.
Precisely. The system was already dealing with the slow release hit from breakfast. Then the upma comes in with this rapid glucose and insulin surge. It's just activation on top of activation, a vicious cycle.
And the final nail in the coffin was the 3:48 p.m. meal. Chapati, more rajma, salad, curry, which led to that massive 140/90 spike at 4:55 p.m.
That meal just combined all 4 root causes. You had carbs from the chapati, slow, gassy food from the rajma, and vagus nerve irritants from the cold salad and spices.
And with your history of hypothyroidism and fatty liver, your body just couldn't handle it.
It couldn't. Even good foods become these powerful metabolic stressors when they're timed incorrectly.
The diagnosis is just crystal clear. It's about timing, frequency, load, not blood vessel disease.
Yeah.
So let's get to the action plan. What are the immediate timing adjustments to break this cycle?
We need to calm the nervous system and stabilize metabolism. So first, the post-walk delay. You have to wait a full 30 to 45 minutes after that morning walk before you even think about breakfast.
Let the system settle down first.
Let it stabilize, exactly. Prevent that forced rapid shift that causes the rebound.
And using the T3 more strategically.
Yes, T3 repositioning. Take that T3 dose 20 to 30 minutes before lunch, not randomly. We want to align the T3 peak with the heaviest food load of the day to support the machinery when it's most stressed.
And just stop the back-to-back eating.
Absolutely. Reduce frequency. We move immediately to 2 main well-spaced meals, maybe 9:00 a.m. and say 1:00 or 1:00 p.m., plus a very light non-carb snack if you need it. But we have to eliminate those mid-morning meals that keep the pancreas on overdrive.
Okay, beyond timing, there are a couple of behavioral and dietary changes, and one of them seems incredibly simple.
It is. The simplest one is the post-meal walk. Just walk for 10 to 12 minutes after every meal. Research shows this can naturally reduce those spikes by 10 to 18 points. It's a powerful countermeasure.
That's an incredible return on investment for 10 minutes. And the key dietary strategy.
The protein first rule. Always start your main meal, especially lunch, with protein. Dal, paneer, curd, eggs. Eat that before the carbs like rice or roti. It acts like a physiological buffer. It blunts that initial insulin surge.
And finally, a temporary restriction.
For now, yes, strict carb limitation. Limit the gas-forming foods and temporarily cut way back on the brown rice, chapati, and upma. They are your biggest triggers right now.
So let's look at the stabilizing diet you're moving towards. Soya chunks, paneer, curd, seeds, vegetables. They sound healthy, but why do they work for this specific problem?
Because this new diet directly supports the 4 weaknesses we found. Number 1, insulin stability. It's low carb, high protein. It keeps your insulin levels low and steady, which prevents that sympathetic activation.
So we're just turning off that chemical trigger.
Exactly. Number 2, vagus calm. Foods like paneer and curd are easy to digest. We're avoiding all that slow, gassy irritation that the rajma caused. The digestive system can just relax.
And how does the protein help with the underlying thyroid issue?
That's number 3, metabolic support. Protein actively helps your body convert T4 into the active T3 hormone, so you're supporting the very system that was failing. And finally, number 4, no abdominal pressure. By getting rid of the gassy foods, you remove that physical pressure on the diaphragm and vagus nerve that was contributing to the jump in BP.
And I imagine the benefits of this go way beyond just the number on the BP cuff.
Oh, they do. When you get this right, you eliminate that big sympathetic crash. So, no energy slump after food, much less sleepiness, you feel light, and your mood is stable. It's all a sign that your nervous system has found its balance again.
This deep dive really proves that health stability is so often about timing and context, not just popping a pill. We've shown that understanding how your diet, your thyroid, and your nervous system all interact. That's the real solution here.
The final takeaway is this. Even healthy foods, like brown rice or rajma, can become powerful stressors when you eat them too frequently, too close together, or at the wrong metabolic time for your specific system. Context is everything.
So since this whole pattern is directly linked to food timing and managing your nervous system, here's a final thought for you to chew on. What other seemingly minor daily habits, like when you exercise, when you take your medication, or even the temperature of your food, are unknowingly driving sympathetic stress in your body? And how might a simple 10-minute walk after a meal be more effective than a pharmaceutical in fixing the root cause of that stress?
That's an excellent question, and it really shifts the power right back into your own hands.
Apply this knowledge, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.